after The View at the same time slot? Are you going, it's a competitor?
We're going to compete with them, yeah.
It is going to cost you to speak your mind. But at a certain point, people have to stand up because it'll cost you more to let your rights be usurped and taken away.
But if you hurt them, if you cost them money, you will never work again.
Here, all the hiring for the new pilots, the main focus is going to be diversity. What? Diversity? Not the best pilots you can find?
All right, folks, let's dive right into this explosive showdown. So, Rob Schneider has just literally taken Hollywood's cancel culture by the horns, and he's not holding back. Seriously, this clash between Rob and Whoopi Goldberg on The View, it's like straight out of a boxing ring. You know, Schneider's never been one to bite his tongue, but this time he's taken it up a notch, actually going head to head with some of the biggest voices in mainstream media, right? All right, let's backtrack a second. Rob Schneider, a former SNL star, is honestly just fed up with how Hollywood suppresses any opinion that doesn't fit their narrow agenda.
It shouldn't be such a shock. We don't get 10 parties, you get 2,
right.
You know? And I really feel I don't want the Democratic Party trying to run my life, and there's not one aspect of your life that they don't want to interfere with. So I had it with them. So I got out of California, I moved to the slightly freer state of Arizona.
It's like at its boiling point, guys. So what does he do? He decides to launch his own talk show aimed squarely at going toe-to-toe with The View. He's calling out the hosts of The View for their hypocrisy, one fiery critique at a time. And frankly, he's not wrong, is he? Now, Rob's journey is fascinating in itself. Once a Democrat, now turned Republican, his political shift speaks volumes about his own experiences within a system he's grown to detest.
There wasn't, taxes. there wasn't one part of business. I mean, Newsom pushed me over the edge.
Right.
I mean, it's just like, I just don't think your life gets better there. It gets worse. I mean, you know what it was? It was like, there was, in San Francisco, they said, you had to remove, I was living in San Francisco, I had it made there, it's on the cable car and everything, I had a rooftop, this is the place where I'm going to live forever. And they said, you have to have the toilets removed from your house. And I said, what? I don't have toilets in front of my house. It was flower pots.
Right.
They made me remove all the flower pots. So it just got crazier and crazier. And maybe I'm looking at this all wrong. San Francisco either has a huge homeless problem or a gigantic camping success story. You have to look at both ways.
What made you want to be so bold and so vocal about it? Because Tulsi said, if you don't agree with the Democratic Party, you're trashed, you're canceled.
Yes. So absolutely, she's right.
Do you worry about that, getting jobs?
Yes, of course you are. Yeah. As an actor, you're always come from a place of trying to get work. But at a certain point, you have to worry about, I'm in my 50s now, late 50s. It's going to catch you too, Brian. But, no, yeah, I worry more about, the freedoms of my kids.
Yeah.
I'm a grandfather now.
Right.
And so, I do at a certain point, you have to put, it's really weird. Something's wrong when people say, if you put God and family and country first, that's somehow controversial.
Right.
How is that controversial?
At the end of the day, Rob is all about using comedy to expose what's really going on. Hey, if you're still here, loving the story, or just totally shocked, make sure to subscribe. Seriously, it helps me keep on going, and we're aiming for 1,000 subscribers by the end of February. So smash that subscribe button, and let's keep uncovering the truths together. All right, so where were we? Oh, right, the clash that unfolded on The View. Rob Schneider isn't someone who shies away from controversy, to say the least.
I am not being paid to be here. I'm here because I love my country and because Donald Trump surrounds himself with intelligent women who are very good looking. What a crowd. Wow. There's got to be 5,000 people here, which is double MSNBC's primetime viewership.
So when he appeared on The View to face Whoopi Goldberg and pals, it wasn't just another celebrity segment. Nope. It was a full-blown confrontation, with Schneider challenging the hosts directly on air. Okay, to set the stage here, picture a typically structured, everyone-friendly The View episode, where everyone agrees on pretty much everything left-leaning. But then Schneider storms in, passionately critiquing the hosts for what he sees as their politically skewed perception of reality.
Ever been on The View?
I have many. I think when was Barbara
Walters?
Was she still on it back then?
Yeah, she was on it even after she died.
I remember I was on The View, and I don't know what man whore I was playing at the time in a movie he was promoting. And I remember I took off her shoe just as a joke, to kind of do something. And her foot, that was a mistake.
Oh my God.
Hey, it was kind of, every toe had its own, God rest her soul.
Yes.
Well, I don't know who's dumber, to be honest.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's a tough question.
It's a close. You know what? Whoopi, she thought like either the Nazis thought the Jews were a race or were in a race. I'm not sure what she thought. And I thought, this new one was Sunny, pretty dumb. And then Joey Behar in her own echo chamber. I'm going to say the dumbest people who still watch the show.
Yes.
The whole audience clapped by the
studio audience.
Yeah.
Whoopi, though.
She's funny, right?
No.
Oh, okay. I was trying to find some kind of redeeming thing to say about The View. You could see right through.
It's safe to say he caused a stir. He didn't hold back on blasting the show for promoting ideas he believes are harmful, and it all hit hard. Right then and there, Schneider took aim at Whoopi directly, bringing up her past statements that have, let's be honest, hurt her credibility.
Going to do a all-ladies talk show that won't be like The View.
Is it the opposite of The View?
It could be, but we're just going to do a show that it'll be the opposite because this will be entertaining.
Okay.
It'll be funny.
Yeah.
We'll have funny women on it. They're going to tell jokes and have funny stories and health and wellness.
Is the idea to go after The View at the same time slot? Are you going, it's a competitor?
We're going to compete with them, yeah. I don't know if it's the same time slot. We're not going to announce who's doing the show yet, but that's what's happening now, and it's official.
He called her perspective narrow, suggesting she represents a political bubble that refuses to, see beyond its own biases. It's like watching a master chess player outmaneuver an opponent on live TV. And seriously, you could feel the tension in the room rise by the second. But it's not just about who said what. Rob's real issue lies with how and why cancel culture is wielded as a weapon in Hollywood.
It is going to cost you to speak your mind. But at a certain point, people have to stand up because it'll cost you more to let your rights be usurped and taken away. Discuss, debate, come up with the best ideas, and then figure out a way to do it. I'm going to make movies here without them, without Hollywood. I'll find out a way, or I won't, and I'll figure out something else to do. But let me tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to sit and be silenced and say I'm not going to speak my mind, because I do believe that we have a chance to do something special. It's worth whatever movies that they don't want to hire me for. Thank you.
In his view, this culture of silencing dissent doesn't just damage, it destroys careers. He passionately argued that their cancel culture cabal chooses which controversies to amplify, which individuals to target based on a very biased, one-sided agenda. Anyway, the conversation also brought up Schneider's personal journey, and it was, kind of revealing. He's made his move from politically liberal California to conservative Arizona, opening up about how he sought more personal freedom away from all the, entanglements of what he describes as Californian oppression. He contrasted the freedom he pursued with the sort of restrictive liberal agenda he experienced. And then there was this sort of symbolic moment where Schneider declared his intention to create a new talk show as a foil to The View. Not just any show, but specifically one infused with heartfelt comedy and open discussions, unlike the heavily partisan slant he criticized there. Speaking of comedy, Rob, with his signature style, sprinkled humor amidst his serious discourse, creating this, multi-layered critique. He used satire to drive home his points, at one point likening Democratic politics to a never-ending loop of bad sitcom reruns, He hinted at how these political agendas might harm everyday American freedoms and cast those daring to oppose it into the shadows. Now, remember that part where Schneider mentioned his plans for a competing talk show? Yeah, it's not just talk. Looking at the reaction from The View, it's clear they were rattled. It's like Rob was saying, hey, if you're going to exist in this cycle of heavily charged discourse, I'm going to flip it on its head with honesty and laughter. You could say the Luke Skywalker to their empire, but we're getting off track here. Schneider's criticism of the echo chambers on platforms like The View really resonated with many, especially those frustrated by what they see as mainstream media's double standards. By calling them out, Schneider tapped into a nerve that many people feel is, often ignored. He's not just railing against the machinery of celebrity culture, but kind of tearing apart the curtain to expose the politics influencing personal freedoms, and people are taking notice. He emphasized how important it is for him to model a willingness to engage, transform, and sometimes even combat these narratives. For him, this new show isn't just about entertainment, it's a stand for genuine conversation and humor that, let's be honest, feels threatened on certain platforms, right? The seeds of Schneider's discontent have even deeper roots than you might think, having witnessed countless friends and peers in Hollywood face silencing and, at times, the ending of their careers simply for speaking out against the status quo really impacted him. He sees this as like a fight for future generations, including his own kids, to raise their voices without fear. It's invigorating to watch someone rally their creative forces for change, even at the risk of facing backlash. And just to circle back, Schneider's move to Arizona wasn't just about seeking personal freedom. He wants to prove that living by principles doesn't have to be punitive or restrictive, it can be liberating. It allows for a broader scope of expression, and maybe a spark that ignites meaningful discourse. And maybe that's what this show will represent, a freedom frontier. Now, before I get ahead of myself, remember Schneider's words on safeguarding speech. He made it clear that speaking up might cost you, but stifling your thoughts for conformity is, in his words, like a way worse price to pay. What, do you think? In a world that seems more fixated on selling narratives than facts, Schneider's unfiltered commentary on The View shows a side of Hollywood that not everyone might be aware of, and maybe that's why it resonates. In this emotive verbal duel, Schneider has undoubtedly set a stage that seems to promise much more to come. With laughter as his chosen weapon and sincerity in his tone, Rob launched a challenge to rethink and rebuild narratives. It's inspiring, yet infuriating to some. At the end of the day, Rob's encounter with The View is about more than just one man's tirade. It's a reflection of a broader call to action, a resistance to conformity, and a plea for authenticity and humor in political discourse. Right? So, as we sit and watch this story unfold, it would be interesting to hear what you guys think. Do you think Schneider's move was strategic or simply reactionary? Leave a comment below with your thoughts on like how you feel about cancel culture and if you believe Schneider could really make a dent in the mainstream agenda. Can't wait to see what you think. Let's keep the conversation going.